Good morning to everybody here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful morning this morning. Happy Thanksgiving week. Hard to believe we are only a couple days away from Turkey Day, couple days away from eating with your family at dinner time at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon or 2, being asleep by 4, waking up again at 6, having another sandwich, watching the game, falling asleep at 8, and then at 11 o'clock at night, finding your way to those mashed potatoes and cranberry sauce. So I hope you're all having yourselves a wonderful pregame to Thanksgiving. Some of you might be fasting for the next 2 days in preparation for Thanksgiving. So very thankful that you're here with the show. Of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time outside of holidays and special engagement things going on. So we will be off this Thursday for Thanksgiving because I want you to be with your family and I'll be with mine. So until then, we'll be doing what we always do here on youtube.com and facebook.com/Wake Up Call DT, as well as on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, which is give you the content you won't find anywhere else with the terrific people that join us on the broadcast. Our bi-monthly segment inside of monpazpopcorn.com's What's Poppin' is Christy's Corner. Christy Salters Martin, International Boxing Hall of Famer, joins us bi-monthly here on Wake Up Call, proudly presented by PB&J's Lunchbox on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. And Christy and I will be talking here momentarily picture-in-picture about all the travels she's had, as well as what she's doing in the community with Christy's Champs and her hopes for the future. Then in hour number 2, we'll be joined at 10 a.m. Eastern Time by running back Dee Brown of Syracuse Orange football history, to speak on Dino Babers' era coming to an end and moving forward, what his thoughts are about the future. And then we'll have that conversation continue with Syracuse Orange alum kicker Nate Trout, who will be joining us to give his thoughts on Syracuse's future and moving forward from the Dino Babers era. And we'll round out the show as we always do on a Tuesday with the ingredients to success, proudly presented by Avicolli's. And that conversation will have to do with Syracuse football as well, their ingredients to success moving forward. So with that being said, picture-in-picture with Christy Salters Martin here, and always happy to have Christy on the show. Christy, how are you?
I'm great. It's always a good day when we wake up, get up. It's a little chilly here in Texas. Took Champ out this morning. Like, whoa, hurry up out there, Champ. Let's get back inside. It's a little chilly, yeah. But of course that's all relevant because I'm sure it's much cooler where you are.
Well, and that's the thing too is, I let Lily out and, she goes outside for a second and then I'm always like nervous. So I'll give her a couple minutes and I'll wait. And then I'm like, all right, I don't see her. She's going around doing her thing. And then I'm just cognizant that I got to get out there, got to make sure that I get her because it's cold. And I don't mind this cold because it kind of in a way helps my allergies. But it feels like it's 30 degrees outside right now. It feels like it's probably like 38 degrees outside right now. I'm going to check and I'm going to tell you it is 32 degrees outside right now. So there you go. There's a 100% chance that it will snow today during Wake Up Call, to let you all know that, for those of you that are tuning in. So there's a 100% chance it will snow in hour number 2, so you need to warm up and stay here with us with Christy and then Dee and Nate in just a little while. So Christy, what's been going on? I know that you've been traveling a lot, and I know your schedule of the places you've run around to, but I'd love for you to share with everybody watching here in the States as well as around the world where you've been, what you've been up to, and some positive things that have been happening.
Well, just so you know, it's 54 here and I think it's cold, so sorry for that. So last weekend we were at the Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame. I was so honored to be given the Willie Pep Courage Award.
Yeah.
And as I said in my little speech there, when Coach Johnny Callis that we had on the show last week said to me, Christy, we want to give you the Willie Pep Courage Award. Well, my boxing style and Willie Pep's boxing style would never be confused because Willie Pep, as the boxing fans know, is famous for saying, I'm going to win a round without throwing a punch.
Yeah.
Me, on the other hand, would be like, if I would say something like that, it would be, oh, I'm going to win a round without getting hit by a punch, which we all know that's never going to happen because I'm going to stand there and go to war with people. Willie Pep was a fantastic boxer, boxer puncher. I mean, he had a lot of knockouts too, but he was slick and slick and slippery and just able to avoid so many big shots. So to get that award was, it was pretty cool. He's a legend, Hall of Famer. But as I look back at his history, and I had kind of forgotten about the plane wreck he was in. So he was in a plane crash. He broke his back, a couple of vertebrae in his back. He broke his arm. I think, oh no, he broke his leg. He injured his arm. It was a lot of injuries, and he came back. And after the crash, he won 27 straight fights. So I'm like, okay, all right, I can fit into that part of Willie Pep's life more than to the boxing ring. But it was a great honor. We were there. It was Coach Johnny was there, of course, with his Coba team.
Yeah.
Artie Palullo was inducted, who is a great promoter. Joe DeGuardia was there, great promoter. Jimmy Birchfield was there, great promoter. So we're able to spend some time, have some conversations with these guys that are out there still finding a way to make big fights happen. Now we've lost Showtime. We've lost another outlet that's not only showing boxing, but paying for boxing. So boxing's we're in a tough spot right now. We're in a tough spot. We need somebody else to step up, and hopefully they will. I'm sure someone will soon to really start promoting boxing and give it a great platform.
Yeah, you talk about losing Showtime. For those that don't know, what has gone on here? Because you and I were together in the same room at Turning Stone just a few months back with Showtime and Showtime, having that spotlight on boxing. So what is going on right now?
I was, as many people, I'm sure, shocked. We heard the rumor for several months that Showtime was done, but you keep thinking, oh, it's just a rumor. Maybe they're talking about what's going to happen with boxing, but to actually see the press release come out that they were finished, I think they have one more show, and that will be it for Showtime Boxing. It's a big hit. I mean, boxing. I think Showtime got involved back during, maybe it was like Hagler and Leonard fight, and then they were huge during the Mike Tyson, Don King era in the 90s. Really, Showtime's who took the chance to put me on, not just pay-per-view, but onto the regular Showtime fights. So I hate to see them go as a promoter. I hate to see them go as a fighter, a boxing fan. But I hate to see them go because I feel like they gave me part of my career. They helped make my career happen.
Yeah, and looking at that and seeing that, like you said, their connection to you personally, Showtime in your boxing career, do you take that personally? Do you feel that a different way when you see Showtime is detaching itself from boxing because of your history with Showtime?
Well, I think that it is part of my history. So as you start to see part of your history drop off, it does. I think it's a little stronger sting, maybe. Like, wow, this is how I got my start, and that so many. The list is so long we can't even start it really of how many fighters got their start on either Showtime or then Showbox came along after that, and so many champions fought on Showbox to get the leap over to Showtime on Saturday night. So it's tough. It's sad. It's where are all those young fighters saying, I want to fight on Showtime? HBO's gone. Now where do you look forward to, oh, wow, I'll know I made it when I get to fight on whatever, where's it got to be?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, do you think it's now time in that respect for some of these channels that are strictly boxing related to show up? I mean, with the technology we have, the ability to stream, the different things that we can do, do you feel that a company in and of it, like should maybe a non-pre-existing company should show up and take these elements and take these pieces that we've come to know and love, but put them into their own and create their own streaming platform? Or maybe they already have a streaming platform that they find some sponsors, they build a little bit, they get some more outlets. Do you see that? Do you see that maybe a boxing avenue that's already there can grow, or that a new streaming platform could arise to say, like, hey, we're dedicated strictly to boxing, we're for the boxing fan, and we're going to provide subscribers with the opportunity to just see boxing?
I think the wave of the future definitely will be on the streaming platform, but the way that these guys that are making huge paydays make those paydays is because they bring in the average fan, the sports fan,
Yeah.
the general public that's just kind of, oh, this is an event, so I want to watch it. I want to be there. I want to be part of it. Just promoting to the boxing fans, I think it'll be tough.
Yeah.
I think it has to be something big enough that it'll bring in new fans,
Yeah.
the fans that we already have, new fans, and then the average person on the street that, oh, this is a great fight. This is a big event. I want to be part of it.
Well, and I think what we're looking at right now, right, is there's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of things that aren't coming to us the way that they normally do. I mean, we look at the NFL, and, you know, if you want the NFL, instead of having the opportunity in the NFL to just go on DirecTV and get it, now you can get it through YouTube. You can stream instead of having to get, you know, a satellite dish and all these things that people have had to get before. There's a different way to do it. And you know, streaming, like you said, looks like that's where a lot of things are going. I mean, I left traditional radio over a decade ago and started to stream my show and built a company off of internet streaming and the ability to get to everybody anywhere in the world live as well as in their pocket anytime, because we're on so many different avenues. So we make it easy, and honestly, I always tell people we're hard to miss. So, I mean, boxing in and of itself in that respect could have that, but at the same time, you know, I do agree with you that what about the other fans? What about the fans that aren't fans yet? What about the fans that, you know, already have subscribed to something and then they're like, hey, you know what, I'll hang around and I'll see this, I'll pay attention to this. It's not cheap to buy fights, you know, and I think with a lot of restaurants I know personally that I work with, they've told me how expensive it gets, how ridiculous it gets, how they're paying per seat, how they're paying per square foot area or whatever it may be. So there is this world of it's gotten really, really expensive. And because it's gotten so expensive, that could play a role into all of this as well. So, I mean, at this point, where do we go? I mean, does boxing look to another platform that's big enough and call them up and say, hey, this is what we want to do? HBO has gone to HBO Max went to Max. And so is HBO/Max, is that a conversation now to say, hey, let's do more with HBO? Let's push that. Since they've pushed their streaming platform, they've pushed themselves into households. They're trying to hang with Netflix and Disney Plus and all of that. I mean, do we go to HBO? Do they go to Apple like the NFL has gone? I mean, where would you like to see it?
I'm sure that the Heymans of the world, the boxing world, and you know, the Lou DiBellas and those guys that have the big fighters are out there hustling and talking to everybody. And I do know that Netflix has now kind of thrown their hat in the ring that they may do some live events. That would be great. I think pretty much everybody out there has Netflix, and like you said, some people are just going to be watching a movie and the fight's going to follow, and it's, oh, I'm just going to hang around and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
So it'll be a great opportunity for young fighters to get exposure. That's the thing. I mean, we can always have pay-per-views with the Tank Davises and the big guys out there headlining, but if we don't have someone watching these young up-and-coming fighters, then we're never going to know that next group of fighters that are going to be carrying the torch for boxing. So I think we have to figure out something, and we have to figure out something fast. And it's hard for like small promoters like me. I mean, how do I stream fights so I can get people's attention? Yeah. Where can I put it that it's gonna be noticed?
Yeah. And that's the thing that, you know, and that makes perfect sense, right? You have to look at it, because sometimes people are only thinking about, okay, well, how do we take care of these places that have been around for this amount of time or this or that? I mean, for you promoting the way that you have, the years that you put into it, your avenue needs to be there. Your place needs to be there. They have to think of you. They have to think of other people that are trying to do things uniquely and differently. And you're trying to bring up boxers. I mean, people, you look at pay-per-view, yeah, they're going to go ahead and buy the boxer that's been around and has, all of this connection and this following. They're going to want to pay for that. But when you're bringing an up-and-coming boxer, there needs to be an avenue for that, to show the story of the person before they became the person that we're seeing today. Sugar Ray Leonard started at some place. Muhammad Ali started at some place. Christy Martin started at some place. Layla started at some place. It's not. I mean, it's easy at the end to say, well, let's put it on TV because look at how great they are. But in the beginning, who's going to tell that story? And until we have a platform for that, that is where the difficulty comes in, is how do we tell the story of Christy Martin's boxers? How do we tell the story of the people that are trying to find the way, trying to build their name and trying to showcase themselves and don't have millions of dollars to go out there and do a bunch of things on their own, so they go through avenues like yours to try and help them, right? You're paying it forward. They're trying to take opportunity from that, and where can they go? Where can you go? And that's something that can't be forgotten and shouldn't be forgotten in a world where America just seems to continue to be buying itself, right? All these companies are merging around the world. They're taking over this. We saw Disney take over so many things to the point where they look like they're making money, but they could be losing a lot of money because they're running a lot of stuff. I always say that monopolies eventually lead to the demise of a lot of things, and I don't want to see boxers be a part of that. I don't want to see a graveyard of missed opportunity.
It's really tough, and that's the important thing. Like HBO, I think it was HBO that started doing the background story before every fight. The fighters that were going to be featured, you got to learn a little bit about not just their training, but about them, the person. And
Yeah.
I think, sometimes you're watching a fight and you're just like, I don't really know either fighter that well, but you start to listen to their story and you're like, oh wow, I want that guy to win. He's the one that has paid his dues. He's the one that, he deserves to win this. And that's what, if we don't market these guys and we don't let people know their backstory, there's no way that we're going to build fans. I mean, because people aren't going to tune in. It's not like a basketball game where there's already so many built-in fans and it's on ABC or NBC, every day. This is boxing, and boxing's a tough sell.
Yeah.
So we have to, look at that next generation of boxers and really promote them so they become household names and people say, oh, wow, I want to see that person. So they're going to search them out. Maybe it is on some streaming company that's not that well known. But if they really know something about that kid, they're gonna take a couple extra minutes and try to find out what's he doing next. Where's he gonna be boxing? Where can I watch him?
Yeah.
So I think it is important, and that may be something that we do with our fighters at Christy Martin Promotions, and add it to the website. Is just do a little interview. That's what we've been talking about. It just like set up an interview where, like Tony Aguilar can talk about himself, where he can talk about how hard it is to have a day job, a real job. He works construction and then show up at the gym and train. We have Victor Hernandez that's getting ready to fight on Don King's show. Let him talk about his story. He's 30 years old. He has 2 children. What he has to sacrifice to be in the gym every day. Keemon Evans, he's also making sacrifices, trying to figure out how to make this boxing world work for him. So, we on and on, but we need to let people know about these guys so they'll be more anxious to see them fight.
Yeah, well, I mean, knowledge is power, right? And the opportunity to get that information out there, you got to find ways. And I've made a living on finding ways to get information out about people, telling stories that weren't being told. So I know all about that world. And I think the people that care enough to help out other people, it eventually comes through, no matter what you're fighting or how hard it is or how difficult it is, or I don't have this network or I don't have that network. How do I do it? Like I said, I mean, I've made my life on not caring about what anybody else is doing, but making sure we do things the right way and making sure we do things with purpose and tell those stories with purpose. And that means the world to me, to be able to have. And, Kimon, I had the opportunity to sit down with him and talk with him after his fight and spend time with him and talk about what matters to him. And those stories, those interviews, those opportunities are the ones that people need to see. If they just see a fighter win or lose, they have no dog in the race. They have no reason. I mean, you look at Marvel, for instance, and I'm going to connect this to boxing. Marvel spent a decade building up all of these stories, giving you all these individual stories, telling you about all these characters, giving you reasons to fall in love with them, to dislike them, to fight for them, to fight against them. And that reasoning culminated all those years later with, if that person dies in a movie, if that character dies in a movie, you feel that because you feel a connection to it. And so to kind of go along those lines of, you have to build someone's connection to somebody. And when you build that connection to them over a series of time, things that happen mean something to them. If they're losing a fight, it means something to you. If they're winning a fight, it means something to you. Without building the story, and that's why I brought up Marvel in the movies, if you don't build the story of the character, if you don't build the story of the person, then there's no emotional attachment. And if there's no emotional attachment, it's just another fight. And if it's just another fight, they're not going to watch it.
100% agree. And this is what we have to make. I tell my guys, you can't be just another boxer. You can't be just another fighter. You have to go out there and make yourself noticeable. Make yourself different so you stand out from everybody else. And that's like Victor Hernandez. He's a great puncher. So when he knocks people out, he does this little shimmy shake over his victim. And some people probably don't like it. They might say it's arrogant, whatever. It doesn't matter. They remember that guy that did the little shimmy shake after he knocked his guy out. And that's what's important. It's all about, we have to make ourselves stand out from everybody else. Tony Aguilar, same thing. He's a warrior. I mean, every fight he's in is just a war. So he stands out from all the other people on the show. And that's what we just have to do. I mean, I feel like I did that myself, and I was like the underdog. I was promoted like the underdog, coal miner's daughter. Like, oh my gosh, you're from small town in West Virginia, now fighting in Madison Square Garden, fighting in Las Vegas, fighting on Showtime. So I think I gained fans because they felt like, oh wow, she really wasn't supposed to be here. She shouldn't make it, but let's get behind her because she is making it.
Well, and the thing is I mean, it was the story being told, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about, is telling that story, hearing that story, and seeing that story grow. People can go back into videos about you, Christy, and see your history. They can see, if they didn't know you back then, they can fall in love with you all over again, or fall in love with you for the first time because there was a story. And if we don't do that for the boxers today, then we're not going to have another Christy Martin. We're not going to have somebody that we can really hold on to and feel that love and that appreciation for. Pat has joined us here, so I'm going to bring her in a second. James Maloney said, "Sup, champ and champ. You need to do a show in Cincinnati. I sparred with Christy her whole career. She's a beast." So wanted to shout out James for saying that.
For sure. Jimmy, we started sparring back in like 1992 or maybe even 91. We can't even count the number of rounds that we did together. And just so you know, Jimmy broke my nose, he broke my ribs, he busted my eardrum. So we went to war. We didn't just show up and pity pat and get through the rounds. He made me a warrior, and I appreciate him, love him like a brother, and I certainly miss him. And hopefully we can somewhere get together soon.
Hey, Jimmy, it's not every day on this show, or I think ever in 20 years, where I've heard somebody say he broke my nose, he broke my ribs, and I love him like a brother. So that's some history right there. But we have Pat on here. Pat's on the broadcast, boxing photographer, joining us bi-monthly with Christy Salters-Martin in Christy's Corner, exclusively on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, proudly presented by PB&J's Lunchbox. Miss Orr, you've heard Christy and I speak about the world of boxing changing, the avenue of Showtime not being there, and trying to figure out what to do from here to make sure stories get told, people build relationships with these boxers, especially new boxers or boxers that haven't gotten the publicity up to this point, no matter how long they've been boxing. You were saying certain things off the air, kind of nodding, or agreeing to certain things I could hear. I'd love to get your thoughts on where we're at with boxing and just what your take is about all of this.
Good morning, guys. I wouldn't be a boxing fan if it wasn't for Wide World of Sports. That's how far I go back. But every week you could watch boxing on Wide World of Sports. And then it went to Tuesday Night Fights, and you had ESPN, Showbox, HBO. Now there's nothing. And that's what hurts the boxing world. You got the UFC fighting and stuff. They have their own fans, and you would think that they could be boxing fans too, but they're separate entities, and it's not going to happen. But I also think, I like the part where Christy said, Tony Aguilera and Vic, tell their story, because we all know that when we're super fans of athletes, it's because of their story. Every athlete has a story of some kind, whether it's, just the hard work they put in, the support they have, things they've been through. And their stories need to be told to help with their popularity. Like Tony Aguilera, he is a warrior. He brings me back to Arturo Gatti and Mickey Ward days. He's in there to fight and to survive, and it's fun to watch. Vic with that little shimmy after he knocks someone down, it's hilarious. But, it's like he worked so hard to get to that point. That's his reward. And it's nice to watch. And, maybe Christy's Corner is where we do the fighters. Maybe one day a month we highlight the young and up-and-coming fighters and, have a couple of them on. Or if there's a big fight coming up for these guys, have both of them on. They won't be in the studio, so it'll be safe. It'll just be words, but just to pump up the shows, pump up the fighters, and to get people interested. Personalities sell tickets, and if you don't get to show off your personality, it's going to be hard to sell tickets.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is being able to showcase it. And that's what we've done on Wake Up Call forever. And the Dan Tortora show before that, and MU Courtside before that, was to tell the stories of the people whose stories weren't getting told. And to have the opportunity to let somebody grow and build and be who they are and share who they are. And we do it every day. And I love that. I love that because, and I tell people all the time, everybody wants to talk to Jim Boeheim, but who's interviewing West Genesee Volleyball and Jim Boeheim? And we're doing both. Why? Because everyone should have a spotlight. Everybody should have an avenue to be able to tell their story and to grow. And I tell people all the time, it's easy to tell the story of a redheaded stepchild because I am a redheaded stepchild. I decided to leave the ranks of those 4-letter networks and 3-letter networks to start something different, unique, where God is talked about, where morals and values are important, where people can be themselves, where honesty is in the media, which you almost never see. So to tell the stories of boxers, Christy, we get to tell your story, and you are so open about it, which I think is so beautiful. And you said something before, and it always resonates with me, and I always think about it. And that is the fact of when you said, I might never be okay, but I'm going to help other people be okay. And ever since you said that, ever since you've made that comment, all I want is for you to be okay, because you went through so much in your life. You have helped so many people get through what they're going through. You're helping people right now. You helped people yesterday. You helped people 10 years ago. That all I want is for your soul to have peace, for you to be well, because you're a vessel of hope. You're a vessel of faith. You're a vessel of keep going. You're a vessel of we can. And at the same time, everybody that knows you, and I think I can speak for Pat in saying this, you're a vessel for us, but we are trying to be a vessel for you to help you look in the mirror and see, like, Christy, if there's a champion in this world, you won a long time ago. A long time ago.
I certainly appreciate that, Dan. And I do work at it, and I think again, I don't know that I'll ever be like 100% good, but and part of that is because Jim Martin, every time I felt good about myself, he would bring me down, and not just bring me down a notch, he would crash me down to the negative, really. And so you get to the point where you're afraid to feel good about yourself. And even when positive stuff starts to happen around me, I step back and I'm like waiting for the other shoe to fall. You know, you're waiting for it to go bad. And it's hard for me to think positive's going to happen to me. And I work at it really hard because, and you guys know this, and Pat for sure knows, Lisa's definitely the glass is half full person. So I tell her all the time that I really do want to be more like that. It's just, it wasn't one day. He didn't just decide to shoot me and kill me on one day. It was the 20-year accumulation of all the words and the negativity that happened to me. It's just like I'm scared to be good. I'm scared to believe in me. That's the bottom line. I'm scared to believe in me because he always found a way to bring me down. And then I was told that I was arrogant. And even after Jim, someone told me that I was a very arrogant ass, and that, that's why nothing good was going to happen to me, and I was bad. So it's tough. I'm working at it though. I'm gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. And with you guys helping me and standing behind me, Pat was just up with me at the Hartford, at the Mohegan Sun to get the award for the Connecticut Boxing Hall of Fame, the Willie Pep Courage Award. So your guys' support is much more appreciated than you probably know.
Well, we're happy to do it. I know Pat was there, like you said, at the most recent opportunity here with the award that you received in Connecticut. So, Pat, how was the experience?
Oh, it's always a good experience. Connecticut boxing fans are passionate. They were cheering, they were talking, they were in awe. And it was nice to hear Randy Gordon talk about Christy, and just the whole vibe was really good there. There's only so many boxing fans in the world, and when they get together, they definitely enjoy what they get and what they see. They appreciate the boxers. Some of them stand back and just watch. Others, march right in and, oh my God, I've watched your whole career. I love you, Christy, and this and that. There's a lot of passion, and I think she felt good about it because the Willie Pep Award for Courage, Willie Pep, holy crap, that's a great honor. Willie Pep was respected, and he was a great fighter, and, he had different ways of doing stuff and winning rounds without throwing punches, which is ridiculous, but he did it. But the courage that he had, it was recognized in Christy's courage too. And, her courage it may not always be respected, but it should be respected because what she went through it's not a normal thing, and it shouldn't ever be accepted. And she's doing all she can to make that happen. And I'm proud of her. And the events are awesome just to witness it and stuff.
And to have that, right, to see, like you said, how vibrant the support is, how exciting that is. We're talking about getting exposure for fights. We're talking about finding avenues for the fighters that are wanting to be out there with people and share their story. And looking for those opportunities, looking for those means. You just experienced the passion of the boxing community, right? You both got to see it in Connecticut. So what can you say about it? And Christy, I'll start with you. When we're trying to get new people in and we're trying to get people to just check out boxing that have never watched it before, there's this community of passionate people that cannot go understated. So I'd love for you to share what it was like to be in Connecticut and to be around people that are so excited for moments like yours just a few days ago.
Pat and I have had two really cool experiences recently, and one was with the IBF in Jersey. I spoke at one of their dinners. They were actually promoting domestic violence awareness, and they asked me to come in. So it was a great group of people that all love boxing, and it's always good to see those people. You know, we got to see Melvina Lathan and hang out with Jennifer Peoples and Daryl Peoples, the president of the IBF, and so many just boxing fans. So that we speed up a couple months, and we're in Connecticut again with great boxing fans. The problem is when you look around that room, it's older people. It's like we're not bringing in the new fans, not at the rate that we need to. You know, we're gonna have a few here, a few there, but we really need like that personality, that Sugar Ray Leonard, that Oscar De La Hoya, that Mike Tyson, that's going to catch on fire and bring the young people back to boxing. And then with that, we have to have someone that's going to be showing boxing on TV, whether it's on TV or I guess so many people stream things now just on their computer or on their phone. We just need boxing to get out there. But we need a personality. We need a character, an exciting fighter that's going to really push the envelope and get people to start taking notice.
Is there a fighter out there, and Pat, I'll start with you on this. Is there a fighter out there right now that you think could make boxing exciting to the young potential consumer? Is there someone in the boxing world, or more than one person in the boxing world, that you believe could help reignite the fan base and bring in new fans?
Well, I think it really it's all going to start with something like you guys have talked about, like a podcast that supports and promotes these young fighters coming up and gets people excited to see them. I think Vic and Tony, they're two right on the cusp. With the right exposure and the right fights, and get them out there and their Facebook pages. And, the problem is we got Facebook and people share and people do this and people do that, but we're not promoting how we need to promote for these guys to help them out, to keep our passion going. I think there's a lot of fighters out there that could be, the next De La Hoya or, Sugar Ray Leonard. But they've got to want to work for it. And I think the younger generation, they look at the money, which isn't a lot of money in the fights that they do, and they don't look at the work you have to do to keep making more money. I think they're too complacent and they're not hungry enough. But I think that if we can build the characters and promote them, I think that it's going to be great for boxing. I remember the show The Contender. I loved watching The Contender. That was like I set my alarm to make sure that I watched it every week. And it was exciting learning the stories. Andre Ward came out of there. Peter Manfredo. Peter Manfredo, he's a warrior too. He was exciting to watch. And that's what you want. Vic is exciting to watch. Tony's exciting to watch. Christy's had other fighters on her cards that are exciting to watch, but they aren't quite hungry enough. And maybe that hunger is because they don't get to be seen by everybody. They're streamed, but the streamers, there's so many people out there streaming right now, you don't know who's good and who's not good. The quality has to be just like TV. When it's cutting in and out, that's not good. And, so you need the quality, you need people that are going to do it right to help promote these kids, to get them to be bigger. we have to have a team to do it. You got to have everybody on board. And, the problem is some of the bigger guys aren't on board with helping the little guys. But it benefits everybody in the long run.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, it comes down to helping each other in the sport, right? It comes down to finding that middle ground where you can support yourself, but you also want to help other people. Christy, you've talked about it before. This idea in boxing that it's like tunnel vision, where it's like, I'm going to make myself money. I'm going to get that notoriety. I'm going to get talked about. I'm going to have a place, but not looking to the other people and saying, okay, well, if you don't build up each other, then let's say you get to that mountain, but who wants to fight you? Who wants to be in it? And where is the notable fight? If it's just about you, tunnel vision, you build up other people. I mean, if I was going to be getting into a fight, I would be saying, hey, yeah, of course I want to win this fight, but I'd be building up that other person because I want you to watch. I don't want you to be like, hey, this person's a chump. I'm awesome. I'm going to knock him out in 5 seconds. I mean, I want to have that battle back and forth. I want to build up to that moment of this is going to be a good event. This is going to be a good fight. Why do people talk about, who is the best ever, and they're putting those names up against each other? That conversation, I want to have that conversation now. Who are the 2 best right now in this? Who are the 2 best in this weight class? Who are the 2 best women in this weight class? What would you say to this fight? Do you want to see these people go up against each other? I want those conversations to be had because it means people are interested, it means people care, it means people want to know, and it means people are going to have opinions. And I've dealt with this with Syracuse's head football coaching board and everything that I put up. I didn't put up a list just to put up a list. I put up a list because of conversations that I've had. I don't just put information out. I don't just put wishful thinking out. I put out conversations of things that make sense, things that I have encountered. And, I had somebody wildly disagree with me. And at the end of it all, he said, hey, I don't like your list, but I like your show. And I said, cool, because that's sports. That's life, right? We're supposed to be able to say, I don't agree with you. However, we're going to have a conversation and we're going to justify our opinions and we're going to respect each other. There's the 2 things I've asked for in life. And I think if boxers could do that, if boxers could right now say, hey, we're going to justify our opinions, we're going to respect one another, we're going to build each other up, because taking care of myself and myself alone isn't going to cure boxing. It's looking at the entire community and saying, like, we need to have good fighters so that I have somebody to fight. That's what a boxer should be looking to. Muhammad Ali, you stand at the top of the mountain. If I'm Muhammad Ali, yeah, I want to win every fight. But I want to go up against people that are going to challenge me. If I'm Christy Martin, I want to win every fight, but I want to go up against people that are going to inspire and make you want to watch. I want to go up against somebody who is going to actually give me a fight, as opposed to someone that I'm just going to walk into the ring and, sip on a juice box and punch him with my offhand and call it a day. So we do have to get into rapid fire. We got a couple minutes before I get into Syracuse football with Dee Brown, as well as having Nate Trout on the show. So, Pat, I'm going to have you go first to ask Christy, and we'll go around here in a rapid fire in just a few minutes. We could talk Syracuse football if you want, because we haven't gone there yet. Whatever you want to ask, but Pat, you can go first.
Let me think. I'm having a hard time thinking. This past weekend, it was a smaller event than it was supposed to be. But does it surprise you the passion of the boxing fans that actually come to these events? Because for me, it's very humbling. I mean, I had people who knew who I was from the International Boxing Hall of Fame, but there's no way I could remember all the names of all these people. So it's like, they're all, they say, yeah, Pat, how are you? And then, with Christy, they're like, the passion is there. You can just see the awe in their eyes. And it's got to make you feel good, because they remember you, they love you, and they care about you. And I think that's a humbling thing, and I think it humbles you. But there's always some haters out there that don't want to see you succeed. not only in boxing, restaurant business here, photography business. I mean, it's always like that. But does the compassion of those fans overshadow the haters for you?
Oh, that's a tough question because I am the one. Remember, the glass is half empty. I'm the one that, and this automatically pops into my mind. So the WBA had given me the Fighter of the Year award back sometime. I can't remember, in the late 90s. I was in Philadelphia. The night before the award dinner, they had I think it was an amateur, it could have been a pro show. I can't, at the Blue Horizon. Well, all along, I had always said I just want to fight the Blue Horizon. That is like the ultimate warrior zone. So we go to the fights at the Blue Horizon. They introduced me, and the place was full, but there was a little group up on the top in the balcony that booed me. And my mom and dad were there, and I never felt so bad in all my life that I got booed in the Blue Horizon in front of my parents. So that sticks with me. But then there's so much positive that comes, like you said, at these events when people come up to you and they share a story. Remember when, I met you at this event, or we did this, and sometimes I do remember and sometimes I don't, and I feel bad about not remembering. But I just recently, as you know, had to explain to somebody that I did have a stroke and I don't remember as well as I should. I often forget if I had breakfast that morning or not. So to remember an event, a meeting that happened maybe 6 years ago or 7 years ago, or maybe even just 6 days ago, I sometimes can't remember. So I feel bad about that. Like, I feel like I'm thinking those people they think that I think they weren't important to me. It was important to me. It is important to me. Everybody, every conversation that I have, all the support that I get, it is so important to me. But I can't help what I can't remember. And so it's just tough.
All right, Christy, what's your question for me?
As we have Thanksgiving coming up on us, what are you looking forward to most for dinner?
Well, I make most of it. So I would say, it's got to be the turkey, and I stuff the bird. So like I use my dad's recipe for stuffing. So we, it cooks inside of the bird, and that probably the stuffing is what I'm most looking forward to. And I make sweet potatoes in honor of my grandma, my G-mama. So probably that, and I make rigot pie in honor of my other grandma. So I think, there's a lot of history at the table. My dad trusting me with the bird for now like 8 years, and then being able to pay tribute to my grandparents with the sweet potatoes and the rigot pie. So it's when you put everything on the table in our house, there is a respect back to the history of our family. And I love that I have the opportunity to do that. And I love that it tastes good and that no one's gotten sick off my food. So that's good too. So awesome. I would say I do love to cook. All right, Pat, since you own PB&J's Lunchbox, if you could make any Thanksgiving-related meal to serve to our community, what would you make and why?
Well, first I want to say, because you stuffed the bird, it's an awesome thing because the stuffing definitely tastes better when you stuff it in the bird. But the biggest mistake people make is they stuff that stuffing in there so tight that there's no air going around, so it doesn't cook all the way, and that's when people might get sick. So don't stuff it tight. Leave a extra tube on the top so that the air goes through. That's your cooking tip for the day. But as far as the Thanksgiving meal I would cook, I think we cook way too many options on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That's why we eat so much, because they're all so good. But just the down and dirty turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes and gravy. Pick one vegetable, and I'm good with that. If I could cook for thousands of people, I would, just so they all had a meal that day. Every day. I wish there weren't any hungry people going around, because we in the restaurant business, we have a lot of waste, and it's sad to have waste. I try to give it away as much as I can. But I think that just having people be able to eat and be thankful.
Yeah, I think it's important to make sure we feed as many as we can. Nobody should go hungry. And having worked at Disney and known how much we threw out, I remember walking to the dumpster with a bag full of, I don't know, 40 pretzels. And I was like, can I just bring this somewhere on the way home? Like, can I just put this in my car and bring it to a food pantry? Like, why am I throwing this in the garbage disposal? Like, we just made these pretzels. So, I mean, I go back to that thought all the time, and it just bothers me to this day. So, Pat, we'll rapid fire. We'll quick go back around one more time. What's your question for me?
Other than the turkey meal, what's the one thing that you enjoy most on Thanksgiving Day?
Being with my parents and with Lily. You know, I don't think that there's anything better than being around a table full of people that you love. And at that table, obviously, you know, my grandparents have all passed away. My grandpas are up in heaven. My grandmas are up in heaven. And so, I mean, the table is not as long as it used to be, but it still has the same meaning. And I think that's important for people to know is your table is not the quantity of people around it, it's the quality. And the quality of people that sat at the table when my grandparents were alive was high, and the quality of people that sit at the table now with my parents is high. And Lily always has a seat because she's super good and she doesn't like attack food. However, she has her moments where she's become a little bit of a crocodile, and she can eat some really big things in a very rapid pace. She darts at food as if I don't feed her, and I can promise you she eats very well in my house. So I don't know what it is. Her stomach, and she's so skinny. I mean, she's such a good girl, and we went for a walk yesterday. She keeps that girlish figure, but I'll tell you, she will eat anything and everything that hits the floor. And so I always have to be careful on what falls on the ground, but she's a good girl, and my mom finds ways to sneak her food, so I always have to watch my mom on Thanksgiving for sure. All right, Christy. What are you most thankful for this year?
Man, I have so many things to be thankful for. I'm thankful that, you know, my mom and dad are still here with us, and my mom's fighting like a mofo to beat cancer, and she's going to dialysis 3 times a week. Um, so I'm very thankful for that, and I'm thankful for Champ. I mean, Champ came into my world. I think it was in April.
Yeah.
So I've had so many people since Champ coming, including my mother, told me that I seem happier than I have for many, many years. So this little guy who's actually asleep on my lap right now, he does make me happy. He makes me smile every morning when we go outside to take care of his business. He's running around crazy, so it makes me very happy.
Shout out to Mom as well. Joyce, as always, we know that you're listening. We know that you're watching. Thank you for all your kind messages and your hearts that you've sent over the time that Christy has been on the show. And many thanks, much love. You have a lot of prayer warriors for you. We're praying for you. We're hoping for you. Cancer's got nothing on you and everything else going on. So keep your positive attitude. And if you birthed one of the greatest fighters of all time, you must be a pretty great fighter yourself. So keep fighting, Joyce. We love you, and we send you our prayers and our well wishes to both of your parents, Christy. And if anybody wants to know how strong they are and some great things, I still go back to your dad in that special on Netflix. And you know, I was like, I was waiting for it, and he looks into the camera. And he's like, I would have killed him myself. And I just go, man, I knew he had it in him. I knew he had that little rock to him. So, you know, don't mess with Christy's parents at all. But keep fighting and stay positive, and we appreciate you very much so. So big shout out to Christy's parents today and always. And Christy, with that, you get the final question with Pat.
Oh, wow. So, Pat, as we come to the end of the year, if you had a week at any time, preferably probably between Christmas and New Year's, where would you spend that week?
Well, I don't even have to think hard. I'd probably spend it in Key West because I've always wanted to go there. It takes a beating during hurricanes, but it keeps coming back. I just want to go there and watch the sunset and have ice cold beer on the beach. Pretty simple.
Key West.
Sounds like a plan.
There it is. There it is, Key West. So with that being said, for Christy Salters-Martin, for Pat Oren, for myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT, we appreciate you being here on Christy's Corner inside of Wake Up Call, exclusively presented by PB&J's Lunchbox. I am honored and privileged that I know you both so that I can say this. May you have a happy, safe, profitable, and wonderful Thanksgiving to Christy, to Pat, and to your loved ones. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thanks, Dan. Right back at you.
Take care. And to Champ. And as well, Lisa, get better. Please get better, Lisa. We're praying for you too. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, we appreciate you for hanging out with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're going to take a quick step aside for a fast break. Dee Brown up next on Wake Up Call, where sports meets life.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Appreciate you being here, hanging out with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It is my honor and my privilege to have Syracuse Orange alumni on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for many, many years, and we will continue to do that as I always appreciate their time and appreciate having the opportunity to tell their story. If you want to hear from the alumni of Syracuse Orange Football's world, for sure, this is the place to come to. And we have had so many different conversations over many, many years, and we are about to have another one as I welcome Dee Brown back onto the broadcast here. Dee is no stranger to Wake Up Call, Syracuse Orange running back alum and NFL alum, speaking on Syracuse moving forward, the end of the Dino Babers era, and where we go from here. So with that being said, let's bring him in. Dee, how we doing?
Good, Dan. How's everything going?
Everything's been well, and, you know, I appreciate you being here. Appreciate you spending some time with me here today. Always love getting your thoughts and your opinion on things. You wrote to me immediately when Dino Babers was let go. You wrote to me immediately of just interest and care for the program, and I would love for you to speak on your passion for Syracuse.
Yeah, Dan. I mean, it speaks for itself, man. Syracuse is a great place to be as a player, as a coach, as an employee. It's such a family-oriented institution, and really, your heart's broken because we went through some tough times the last couple of years. I think we've had a successful season. The last one was in 2018, if I'm not mistaken, and so to watch year in and year out our program kind of decimating, going to a place that, you know, personally I'm not used to seeing. I didn't experience that when I was there. But just to see it from afar, you feel for the community and the kids that are there, because it is a good place and they just haven't been able to experience that type of energy and this love and passion that, you know, you and I both know is there at the Cuse.
Yeah, you know, and like you said, I mean, the fact that, you know, there is this passion and there is this connection, and we know that it exists. And, you know, I put up some head coaching candidates, and I want to tell people this again, not to belabor the point, but unfortunately in the world we live in, you know, there's a lot of people that will put stuff out there just for the sake of putting it out there. I'm not doing that. The list that I made of the candidates that you've seen so far, 3 of 4 of them have a connection to Syracuse. The other one is a conversation that I think they should at least have, which is Jimbo Fisher, but I think Jimbo's going to cost too much. The reality of it all is there's reasoning behind each of these names. I don't just throw names at the wall. I don't try to get people to click on my website because I want to feel cool for the day. The people that I put out there have reasoning, and I've gotten a lot of backlash, Dee, for wanting Syracuse to have someone that's been connected to the program, either played in the program, coached the program, or did both. You know, was an assistant, was a head coach, was a student athlete, whatever it may be. But I want somebody who's connected to Syracuse Orange football history. I don't feel like there's anything wrong with that. However, I have been wildly scrutinized for my belief that Syracuse should have one of their family members coach the program. I'd love to get your thoughts about it.
Well, then I think first you got to just, you know, remember the type of world that we're living in now, that it's really about likes and loves and clicks on the popularity button. And I think if you're getting scrutiny because of your list, it's because of that notion. A lot of people, football guys in this world that we're in, they understand what your list, how it, the message that you're saying. And it's not about your favorites. It's just your understanding and my understanding of the type of person that you see and that I see that needs to be at Syracuse to be able to bring us back to a prominent level. Yeah. Yes, everyone talks about some of the popular votes, the popular names, the famous names, but that's not what it's about. Besides the Debos and the Sabins and maybe the Harbaughs of the world, you know, who really is that most popular that you really can bring in Syracuse and do the same job that I think people on your list can do. So to have someone who's from the Syracuse fabric, like you said, who's been there, who knows the ins and outs of the university, who knows the quiet corners to get in, who knows how to shake hands with the true stakeholders, who have investment in Syracuse, those are the guys that you really want, because that's the person who's going to bring Syracuse back to a level of prominence, of winning, of excellence. And so there's nothing wrong with choosing alum to be the next head coach of the program, because it brings great value. You know, it's nothing like bringing someone home. And that's what you have to kind of push to those critics and haters, if you want to call them, because they just don't understand it. Like I said, in the world that we live in, it's all about the like button, the popularity button. But getting someone who has comes from the Syracuse fabric I think it's important, because you want that person to be there and be fully invested from the ground up and resurrecting our program to another prominent level.
Speaking here with Syracuse Orange running back alum and NFL running back alum Dee Brown, one of my favorite players growing up, and this is the cool thing about the job that I get to do, is I get to speak to the players whose cards I collected, and it's a beautiful thing in this world to live your dreams every day, and Dee's done such a great job in the world of football and caring about it and paying it forward. So if I may ask you, Dee, are you interested at all in coming back to Syracuse in some respect?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the coaching world for a reason, and it's not necessarily all about I love to win. I'm a winner because of my background. That's what I've done my entire career, both coaching and playing. But the biggest thing that I love, and I wake up every morning here when I'm in coaching now, is to be able to move young men. I think that's what you got to have. You got to have I think it's an anointing, I call it, because football is a ministry for me, and being able to touch these young men and talk to them on a personal level and be able to use the game of football to move them to be excellent, not in just on the field things, but in everything that they do. You know, I always preach that you're not excellent in one thing, you got to be excellent in all things. And so there's definitely an interest. I hope there's a mutual interest in that capacity, because I know one day that will be my platform, and if the Syracuse is the next opportunity, great. I think I've done a great job so far. I think being back home, so to speak, will definitely put me on the platform to affect a community, young men that have the desires and walk in the same line that I've walked and want to do and accomplish some of the same things that I've been able to do. And get a connection with the alum. You talk about some of the guys that I still keep in touch with, even coaches from that standpoint, and being able to stay in connection with what Syracuse is trying to do and the fabric that we come from. I think that obviously would be a great candidate. We all know this is a process, so I'm not necessarily trying to bargain for the job right here on your show. But to answer your question, I mean, who wouldn't? If you're coaching now, you're in the college realm right now, and you're from the Cuse, you're from Onondaga, why would you not feel like this is a great opportunity? Not just for me, but for anyone in the coaching realm who is from Syracuse.
Yeah, you know, and like you said, I mean, the fact that you're interested, the fact that you are involved in the world of coaching right now, is that something that has to be? You know, we look at some of the alumni, Don McPherson, I think, is a viable candidate for a lot of reasons, despite the fact that he is not out there coaching right now. And these are reasons that have come from other people. This is, again, I don't make a list to just make a list. This list came from, keeping my ear to the ground in a city that I love. So, Dee, for you, with your coaching experience and what you've done, do you want somebody, do you think there needs to be someone who's coaching right now? Does it have to be a head coach? Can it be a coordinator? Can it be somebody from the outside? What is the criteria, in your opinion, of what you believe Syracuse needs in their next leader of the football program?
Can you shake the right hands with community stakeholders? Can you lead men, regardless of their backgrounds, how long they've coached or haven't coached? And can you move the players to be excellent in everything that they do? That's truly the criteria. We can be particular as much as we want, I think those three things are what, when you talk about building your program back up, are the three major components that you need. You have to have someone who does have some coaching experience. Yes, I do believe that, because there is an it factor that young men have to feel when they walk into your room, and they have to feel like, their coach is there for them and to build them up, man, body, and spirit, not just about the X's and O's. But he has to surround himself with those guys, because it's a production business. So that man has to surround himself with assistants and support staff who is about the same thing, and that's about excellence and building the young man so that they are productive on and off the field. But then really it's about those three components. Can you put yourself in the community and feel at home, and let those community those people in the community also feel like you're one of them and they're one of you? And secondly, as I said, can you lead men? Can you lead a staff to every day give their all, be 100% bought in, and get the best out of their unit, out of their position group? And then thirdly, and the most important, is can you move young men to be great from all different backgrounds and ethnicities and things of that nature? Transfer portals, coming from different programs and having to kind of unwind and undo some of the things they've learned in the years they were at their previous schools. Do you have the it factor to be able to move young men to be excellent in the Syracuse way? Not their own way, not their previous school's way, but in the Syracuse way. And I think that's one of the things in which you were talking about, having someone from the past, and an alum, so to speak, because there is a Syracuse way. Just like they talk about the Raider way, they talk about the Patriot way. It really is a Syracuse way. And I think there's a lot of excellence, if you look at our past, that has come through there. And I think it's a great avenue for young men to still be able to come through there. But those are the three things that I think whoever takes over has to be excellent in those three components. And I think you'll have the right person.
Yeah, coming here this morning from Syracuse Orange Football alum Dee Brown, joining me here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Dee, why are you the right candidate, in your opinion? If there was to be an opportunity, I know you just mentioned three components that you think are key to success, but to go beyond that, let's talk about you personally. Why Dee Brown, in your opinion?
Well, Dan, not to turn this into an interview, but just to talk about the background. I was there when we won big, 3 consecutive conference championships. That does have value because again, I'm from the Syracuse way. Coach Pasqualoni built a great foundation when we were there, and really put, I think, Syracuse on the map from the standpoint of always making us relevant. I was blessed to play 6 years in the National Football League, and so I have a great outlook for our young men of what it takes to reach their goals and to accomplish their dreams that I know they've had as little boys, growing up. Being a college coach and the things that I've, in a small amount of time, been able to do, recruiting-wise, I think we're going to have the third consecutive number one recruiting class where I am right now. That's no easy feat, but it really just talks about and epitomizes the type of, character and person I am, that I can walk into someone's living room and talk to a kid's parents and allow them to feel comfortable giving me their son for 3, 4, 5 years and promising that he'll be a better man. If anything else, he'll be a better man when he graduates and comes back home. To be able to do those things, everyone can't do that. To be a mental health therapist now, going back post-career and going back and getting my master's. Why in that profession? Because I understand the importance of mental health right now and how prevalent it is, and how our young men and young women grow up in the society that we live in, especially post-COVID. Those are, that was a time that was very dark time for our nation, for our world, and for these kids. And so you're still seeing some of, the bad times and hard times with our kids and their mental health. So being able to quickly adjust to those type of situations and help our young men and our young women out, I think God is putting in a great opportunity to be able to do that. Then you just talk about the X's and O's, which, to me, any good coach should be competent in that area. But the ability to bring men and a staff around that embodies what I'm about, and that's building the total man, body, and spirit, and unlocking greatness in every single thing, not just in football, but in everything you do, from the way you dress, the way you take your notes, the way you be prepared for post-career, the way you prepare for games, the way you speak, and not only on television, but just in person to any and everyone. Respect of women and elders, just, how you grow and raise young men. I think when you embody those things and surround yourself with those type of coaches and support staff, and you're all bought in, then it just becomes a culture. That's what creates a great culture. Like I said, it really creates the Syracuse way. That's what we're trying to do, is really resurrect the Syracuse way, and that's just highly competitive, high character young men, great community support, and being on a national stage where the world knows and sees the Orange in a great, clean, powerful way.
Yeah, and Dee, and I appreciate you, answering that, because to me, and the reason why I asked you the questions about, what is it about Syracuse, what does Syracuse need, and why personally are you the right fit, is because, over the years, I care about you. I care about every single one of the alumni, and I want you to be able to tell your story and have an avenue to showcase that and to let people know, because there's so many voices out there just saying things that I think it's important to hear the passion, hear the love, hear the people that can make a difference. So, I appreciate that greatly, because, you've played at Syracuse, you played in the NFL, you've coached in the NFL, like you said, coaching now, and what you're doing with the Campbell Camels and the success there that you've had, passing game coordinator, quarterbacks, and running backs coach. I think it's important to let people know the stories that are out there and the people that are out there that care. So I appreciate you sharing why you feel like you would be a good fit, because I feel like anybody who cares the way that you do, has the experience like you've had, and understands the things that matter on and off the field are important. So thank you for letting me spotlight you a little bit and making you talk about yourself, Dee. So.
I understand, Dan. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. You never know what to expect, but it's always a good thing, and it comes from the heart, and that's why I continue to welcome being a guest on the show. It's not necessarily highlighting me, man, but I appreciate the opportunity. It's really just to put it out there that whoever it may be, myself or anyone on your list, or anyone on the committees, athletic directors, hot list, just as long as they embody those things, then I think we'll have a great opportunity to get our program back to where it's been, and even higher. I think we have the talent to do it. I think we have a great community. We have great stakeholders. We have great investors and donors, and a great alumni who really want to get behind whoever it may be and bring the Orange back as a high priority in the college football world. So, I appreciate you, but I also appreciate Syracuse for the support they've also given me as well.
Well, and Dee, before I let you go, I want to hit with a couple things here. Why is Syracuse special? We look at the adversity that Syracuse has had over the last couple decades. Really, the adversity had since Coach P was let go. He was let go for having 2 6-6 seasons back to back, and now Syracuse fights just to get to 6-6. So it's weird, the juxtaposition of that and how the last 2 decades have looked. So when you look at Syracuse and you look at what Syracuse is, you committed to Syracuse, you signed at Syracuse, you played at Syracuse, Syracuse football. How would you describe Syracuse University in the football sphere? What is so special about it, in your opinion? And let's see, Dee, can you hear us?
Dan, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying, first and foremost, to acknowledge the great tradition that Syracuse has. Just look back on, all the great players who have come through there, man, and laid the foundation. It's just a special place when you walk to a place where legends have been made, and it helps you create goals to be one of those, or at least chase those guys. And those that come back, you get an opportunity to learn and shake hands with them, man, and just get a great amount of wisdom and intelligence from those type of people. Syracuse is also great because it's such a very intimate place.
Yeah.
We're not spread across New York, upstate New York. We're a very intimate student body of staff who really care about each other. And you can actually just feel the love, even when you come on your official visit. I know a lot of people say that, but when you come there, you can feel the support and the love and passion from each and every person. Syracuse has great tradition, great alum, great support from the community, stakeholders who just absolutely embody everything that Syracuse is about. And it's just a special place. The experience that you have from as a student, it's legendary. And you take these values and things that you've learned into your grown-up life and become great fathers and mothers and great community builders and things of that nature. So it's just about the experience that you have at Syracuse that makes it, from a holistic standpoint, a tremendous experience that carries you from generations to come. Things that I've learned, I teach my kids, and I learned them at Syracuse, and preparing them for when they went to college and graduated from college and playing ball and going to new different endeavors. And so, Syracuse just is a really family-oriented place, but it does give you enough space that you can create your own and blaze your own trail and have that level of independence that you can grow and be the new person that you've always known that you can be. And so, from an experience standpoint, I think it's just top-notch, top-tier, and one that you be grateful for when you leave.
Yeah, and we're grateful for everything that you did, Dee, while you were at Syracuse and beyond. Left in your final season as a 1,000-yard back with 1,031 in a single season, 6 yards per carry that season back in 2000, and obviously being a part of the Paul Pasqualoni era. Your final word, Dee, you get the final word. So the Dino Babers era has come to an end. We're moving forward. What do you want Syracuse fans to know? We've talked about so many different things this morning, but you get the final word in our conversation as far as moving out of one era into the next. So what do you want us to know?
To not look in the rearview mirror, to continue to press forward and bring a new level of great energy to our campus. If we can have the tools to, quote unquote, recharge and rejuvenate and have great energy on our campus and in our Syracuse community, I think that's what's also needed. Be industrious and be enthusiastic about whatever the plan is moving forward. And so if you have those goals and everyone is aligned and really together and being collaborative and reaching those goals, I think you'll like the output in the uniform that Syracuse comes out with for years to come. But it has to be a collective effort. It's just not going to be on the head coach that they hire next. It's not going to be on the AD. It's going to be a collective effort. And that means players, coaches, support staff, and community. So, bring your energy. Be enthusiastic about what's about to happen next. I think you'll be glad with the uniform that Syracuse brings. I love the place. Everyone loves the place. You can't go wrong with orange. But be enthusiastic about it and be industrious. Those are two things that I would say. You look at those two words and you bring that to the table. I think the orange will be back very soon.
Coming from Syracuse Orange running back, alum Dee Brown, who continues to coach and continues to help mold young minds and help young student athletes to move forward here. Love the work that you're doing, Dee. I love the fact that at the high school, collegiate, and NFL levels. You have been involved and done so many great things. So I appreciate you. I respect you. And I still got my Dee Brown cards in my collection. So thank you for all that you bring to the table, man. And I hope that whatever happens with Syracuse moving forward, you and I get some FaceTime sometime soon, because it would be great to shake your hand and tell you face-to-face that I really do appreciate and cherish the time you played on the field. But even more than anything else, I appreciate the fact that you answer when I call you, and you always make time for me. So much respect to that, and a happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Hey, Dan, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays to you and your family as well. Yeah, man, that's a promise that if I don't become the next coach there, I will be present. We will get FaceTime. We will get together. Love what you're doing. Love the passion that you have for Syracuse, man. And so we get more people like yourself, being industrious, being enthusiastic as you are. We'll have a great output and great outcome. Thank you so much, man. Happy holidays.
Thank you, too. Appreciate those words. I'll talk with you soon, all right? God bless. Take care. That coming from Dee Brown. Awesome words. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I will work to continue to earn those words. And, yeah, when you hear stuff like that, it does. It reminds you that people are picking up what you're putting down. And I do it for God. I don't do this for me. I don't do it for like, hey, everybody look at me. That is not the world that I live in. I want people to, I want to build relationships, you know, and that to me is something that's incredible. I want to make my world small, and I want to have fun, and I want to build relationships with people, and I want them to feel safe to tell their stories and to just sit and hang out. And Dee Brown is a heck of a person. He has worked his tail off since being at Syracuse and in the NFL, and I respect the work that he's doing, and I hope that Syracuse considers him. However long or short that list is, I hope Syracuse considers Dee Brown and gives him an opportunity to tell his story, because I really like a lot of things he was saying today, and I love his experiences and his care and his passion for Syracuse. So we'll take a step aside for a fast break. Speaking of care and passion for Syracuse, coming up next on the broadcast, my guy Nate Trout joins the show right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I can't thank you enough for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So many thanks to each and every single one of you that is listening up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all throughout the land, as well as all around the world. So thank you for everybody tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, making us a part of your weekly dose of sports and life, and can't thank you enough. So with that being said, we are going from one Syracuse Orange football alum to another Syracuse Orange football alum, my good buddy Nate Trout, and I have to do an intro for Nate. I know Nate is a humble guy. I know Nate is somebody who, may just say thank you after I do this intro, but I'm going to do the intro anyways. Nate Trout was my favorite kicker growing up. Nate Trout continues to be one of my favorite people in the world beyond kicking, beyond football, and I'm going to tell you why. Nate was a guy that I loved watching growing up as a kid fight for my city. Nate was at one of the greatest times of Syracuse Orange football, in my opinion, that I've been alive for. On top of that, we connected. He has treated me like a friend from day zero. He's always made himself available. We were fast friends, and anytime I needed him for anything, including going down and doing our Hooters week in Orlando, Florida, Nate showed up without question. He always found his way to do it, reached out to me, and when I go down to Florida, he always says, hey, let me know when you're coming down. If we can make it work, let's make something work. If we can see each other, let's do it. So from going from being my favorite childhood kicker to being one of my friends that I can truly rely on showing up, and showing up is more than half the battle, I introduce you to Syracuse Orange kicker alum, once again, Nate Trout, with the biggest thing I can say about you, Nate, is thank you for being a great friend, thank you for living by your word, and thank you for always showing up in my life, because I appreciate that more than anything else I can say about you.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, and I feel the same way. But the most important thing is we both love Syracuse football, and I think that's been the connection with us, along with, a lot of other things we have in common.
Absolutely. And that love for Syracuse football leads us into this conversation on where does Syracuse go from here. So looking at right now and in this move that was made, are you surprised, not surprised that the Dino Babers era came to an end at the time that it came to an end?
Not really. We all knew it was coming at some point here in the near future. I think Dino did a great job, or Coach Babers did a great job early on in his career, and it just seemed that we couldn't get over that hump. And I think the alumni is ready to get over that hump and kind of be a little bit more competitive overall. I know it's highly difficult being in the Northeast. Not a ton of kids want to go sit in snow for 10 months out of the year, but there's so much pride and tradition in the program going back for many years. We have respectfully one of the best traditions in college football, and I think people overlook that a lot of times, with Ernie Davis and Jim Brown. And, it's definitely an opportunity for us to get successful and turn it maybe a little bit around to where maybe we're getting to that 9-win seasons consistently.
Yeah, and it's something that has definitely eluded Syracuse is, getting to that place. How do we get back there? How does this program that you and I both respect and are around so much and care about so much, how does Syracuse get back there? What is the path back to being a team that's not just resting on the laurels of history, but can make some positive history now?
Well, I think it starts with recruiting, and I love to watch the kids, and I think we have a good group of kids that work hard. But if you look at the pattern and success in the early 2000s and the late 90s and through the 90s and 80s, there's a certain type of kid that you have to recruit to be successful at Syracuse, and it kind of adds to what the city already is, a blue collar city, and kind of down and dirty. Maybe it's not the 5-star, flashy guy. Maybe it's a 3-star that's going to develop over a couple years to be, the next stud in the program. And I think it's really comes down to identifying those blue collar type kids to get in there and turn it around.
Yeah, and like you said, finding the right people is going to be important to making this go in the right direction. So you have to start in recruiting. When you look at that, finding the right people, you obviously have to have somebody that understands the city, understands the community, understands what Syracuse has been and where Syracuse, can go based on remembering that history and remembering that success. I've been scrutinized a little bit, Nate, for wanting somebody connected to the Syracuse program to be the next head coach, be it someone who was a head coach, an assistant coach, or a former student athlete, or a little bit of both, to be the next leader of Syracuse. What are your thoughts on having an Orange alum? Is it something that you agree with, or what's your take on having someone that has been connected to the football program as a coach, player, or both to be the next head coach?
I mean, my opinion has always been to get somebody that's familiar with the school, the city, and as important, the Northeast, and can recruit in the Northeast, maybe a 5-6 hour radius from there. When I played, we had a ton of guys that could drive home any weekend and be right there. And, I don't know the stats of how many we have now, but there were some great players. You look at Rob Conrad and players like that were within a half a day driving distance to get home. And I think that's critical to get an alumni or someone at least familiar with the Northeast, understands what kids go through to sit in snow for 10 months out of the year, understands what it takes to be a blue-collar guy. And, another thing is a motivator of kids, of people, of alumni, and really rally the city and the alumni around the program, which I think's really kind of been missing a little bit over the last couple of years.
Yeah, and you talk about being able to, have a team that's not only successful but can drive home, is not too far away from home. There's also been the notion that Central and Upstate New York doesn't have any talent. Syracuse doesn't have any talent. The state of New York doesn't have any talent. The Northeast isn't good enough. You have to go to Texas. You have to go to Oklahoma. You have to go to Florida. You have to go to Georgia. You got to go to Louisiana to find the talent. Syracuse, during your time there, and Syracuse in the other most prominent times for the football program, has been built with Syracuse natives, Central and Upstate New York natives, Northeast natives, be it Pennsylvania, be it downstate New York, as well as, Ohio, that's not necessarily too far away from that Pennsylvania border, to Massachusetts and other areas. So the narrative that Syracuse and the state of New York and the Northeast don't have talent, I believe your teams refuted that, if I'm correct.
I would agree with you. And, I can't tell you, I don't know the numbers offhand, but, I had some great players that were all right there. And I was, one of the dozen of kids from Florida on the team who were also great contributors to the program. But again, a majority of the guys I played with were within that Northeast area.
Yeah, so, when we look at this, like you said, somebody that knows the program, knows the area, what type of benefit does that give to Syracuse? To kind of go a little bit deeper into the comments that you were making, what's the benefit of having someone that's coached at Syracuse, someone who has played at Syracuse, that knows the area, that knows the community, that has connections? What is the benefit of that to you? Because there are some people that are just, throwing names out there that I think would be names that people would put for anybody. Literally, they would put any head coaching job, they would put the name out there for. So why should a connection to Syracuse, what does that do for Syracuse? Why does that help Syracuse, in your opinion, if there's already a connection there?
I mean, again, this is my opinion, and I just think it's important that you get somebody that understands the pride and tradition around the program, understands what it takes to be successful there, but more importantly, understands and relishes the alumni and appreciates the alumni tradition and the past history that we do have at Syracuse. And again, I'm 100% passionate about Syracuse football. And I'm a kid from Florida that knew nothing about it. This is before internet. You know, I knew nothing about Syracuse other than seeing them on TV every now and again. And I get it now. I get why people are passionate about Syracuse football. There's some great tradition there. And if you look at our Hall of Famers and the kids that played there, it's unreal. And we got to have somebody that appreciates that and wants to take it to the next level.
Yeah, you know, and I've read off your roster before. I mean, I could just pick one of your seasons, and it's absolutely insane. The names that I could, Willie Ford, Will Allen, I'm looking at this whole thing, Pat Woodcock, Quentin Spotwood, Kyle Johnson, James Mungro, Dee Brown, Medee Williams, Troy Nunes. You know, you talk about Don McNabb, you know, and so on and so forth. There's Corey Bowen. There's a ton of names on this list that have been on the show, you know, and Keith Bullock, Dwight Freeney, who was just honored by Syracuse, Moreland Greenwood, and the list goes on and on. I mean, your teams were, when people look back at Syracuse football history, I think people forget that you were on rosters where everybody was there. It wasn't like, oh yeah, these guys came over a series of 3 or 4 decades. You know, you mentioned Rob Conrad, Kevin Johnson. I mean, everyone, Kyle McIntosh, Ian McIntosh. I mean, everyone was there within the time that you were there. I mean, in the moment, and you and I have discussed this before, in the moment, you're just playing football. In the moment, you're just in the locker room, you know, messing around, joking around with guys and this and that. But when we look back on Syracuse history, you had one of the brightest time periods that you were at Syracuse. It was one of the greatest moments, chock full of NFL talent. And, I mean, hindsight 2020, looking back, you were a football player just enjoying your college life and having fun with, you know, what you got to do. But, Nate, do you ever look back on these rosters of the late 90s and say to yourself, like, holy crap, the amount of people that we had that are considered some of the best in Syracuse football history, and they were all on the same team?
Well, I think what's cool about it is you know, I'm back in Florida now, and I name drop, you know, Don and Keith and Quentin Spotwood, and people remember those guys. So this is somewhere else in the country, in the South, where you wouldn't really think they remember watching Syracuse play in the late 90s. And those are the names they remember. So it's pretty cool on a national scale. We had teams back then that were kind of well known throughout the country. But, you know, I don't want to diminish what the previous, you know, alumni did. You know, the Robert Drummonds and the local guys and Don McPherson's and the Marvin Graves. I mean, if you really look at it, we had a good 20-year run between, you know, Coach McPherson and Pasqualoni all the way up to the early 2000s where we were nationally known. So it wasn't just my era, but we obviously had some great players come in. But there's a lot of players that came in and people know throughout the country, which is pretty cool.
Is there anybody on your mind that would be good? I just had Dee Brown on the show, and he spoke about his interest. There could be something there with Don McPherson. There could be something there with Steve Adazio. Do you have anybody that David Walker as well? Is there someone of Syracuse history on your mind that you would like to at least see maybe interview for the job?
You know, I don't really have a particular person. All those names you just mentioned, I would love to have them there. You know, I've seen Dee's name around. I've seen Coach Walker, obviously, who got a tremendous amount of respect for. I've seen Coach Adazio, who I got a tremendous amount of respect for. You know, and I've seen Dan Mullen's name floating around some, and I love Dan. I've got a chance to spend some time with him outside of Syracuse over the last couple of years. Coach Ogeron's name's floating around. You know, who knows all the realistic out of Syracuse over the last couple of years. But again, I just want somebody that understands and appreciates the tradition of the school and could get us to the next level and relish and bring on the alumni to get some excitement around the program. And that's not just my era. I'm talking from, the 50s all the way to now, and really start seeing more and more alumni coming back to the games and having some excitement around it, which I think is going to take a coach that's been around the area or been a part of the program at some point.
What does bringing an outsider in do? If all those things that you just said, which I agree with wholeheartedly, if that didn't happen and they brought in, John Wildhack and the board and Kent Siverud decide on some outsider, what does that do to Syracuse football in your opinion?
I'm not going to say it could be unsuccessful. I think it's got to be the right person. But if you look at the recipe we've had since the 2000s, the early 2000s, you had Robinson, who wasn't familiar with the program and kind of didn't really rally the alumni behind it. I think Coach Maroon had a little bit more of that in him, that blue collar, and he did definitely turn it around a little bit. Obviously, he left. But then, we kind of moved on to Coach Babers, who, again, had no affiliation with the school at the time. I think the recipe's there, right? We've been watching it for 18 years, 19 years. So why not? Let's try something new and maybe get someone that's a little bit more familiar with it.
One of the guys, and it was a guy that was in the middle of all this, that didn't go to Syracuse and didn't have a connection to Syracuse yet, in my opinion, because I spent a ton of quality time with him. Scott Schaefer seemed like he went to Syracuse. He seemed like he knew Syracuse. He seemed like he cared about Syracuse. What were your thoughts on that? Because he was given 3 years, and he went to a bowl game and had 2 4-8 seasons. Dino did the same thing, but Dino was kept for more than double that time. Did you like Scott Schaefer? I mean, he was an outsider, but he genuinely seemed to bleed for the town. So what are your thoughts on the Scott Schaefer factor? Not Scott coming back, because that's never going to happen, but just to kind of paint a picture of that moment as well.
Personally, I really liked Coach Scott. I never met him or Coach Schaefer. I never personally met him, but I agree with everything you're saying. He had a lot of passion for the school, and obviously someone that's an alumni there has a ton of respect for that. I just think he got kind of put in a different situation between ADs.
Yeah.
And, kind of was on that tail end where maybe he wasn't the quote-unquote, I apologize for lack of better terms, a sexy hire at the time. And, really didn't get a chance to kind of fulfill his recruiting classes and things like that. But if you look here, who I got a tremendous amount, Eric Dungy, talk about him, has nothing but great things. And, I'm kind of going off of that. And Eric Dungy's somebody that's a great alumni of the program and played his tail off for us and is passionate about it. So I can't say anything negative about Coach Schaefer as far as that goes.
Yeah, and Eric Dungy, I mean, we look at Eric Dungy, and I've made the argument that if Schaefer wasn't there, Tim Lester wasn't there, because Tim Lester is the one that said to Scott Schaefer, you need to hold a spot for a quarterback. You need to let me bring in Eric Dungy. There is the reality if Dino Babers was at Syracuse sooner, Eric Dungy wouldn't have been at Syracuse, and I have him on my Mount Rushmore of Syracuse quarterbacks, and when you talk about the value he had to the team and what they would have looked like without him, Dungy and that 10-3 season that Dino Babers had, that came from a lot of Schaefer's recruits. It came from Schaefer's guys. I mean, Joe Adam recruited an entire offensive line at every position, and then when Schaefer was let go and the whole staff was let go, Joe didn't get to coach any of those guys, but he brought them all in. And so any success that they had comes from his recruitment. And, obviously you got to teach the guys once they're in there, but who brought them there? Joe Adam, DeAndre Smith, Bobby Acosta, Coach McDonald, Greg McDonald, as well as Chuck Bullock, Clark Lee, Scott Schaefer, Tim Lester, Tim Doust, the late Fred Reed, may he rest in peace. There's a lot to be said about how Scott Schaefer's staff not only went down with the ship with him instead of aborting and leaving him, they stayed with him all the way through to the end, and they're all successful. So I look at something like that too. So we move forward. We don't look back. We're talking about the future of Syracuse football. Nate, can Syracuse get there? Can they get there in the ACC? And I'm asking you this question honestly because you love Syracuse. I love Syracuse. I love my hometown. I'm an impartial broadcaster because I believe that it's a cardinal sin to be anything but that. So when I think they're going to win, I say they're going to win. When I think they're going to lose, I say they're going to lose. I mean, I had them losing to Georgia Tech. So when I look at Syracuse right now, and you look at Syracuse right now, can they, in the ACC, with Mike Norvell at Florida State, with Dabo Swinney at Clemson, with the uptick of Duke, with an NC State team that never goes away under Dave Doran, with a North Carolina uptick under the second coming of Mac Brown, with Dave Clawson, who doesn't have his quarterback this year because Sam Hartman transferred out, but outside of that, he has been so successful at Wake Forest and done so many great things. With every team in the ACC getting better, except for Syracuse recently, and you have a new head coach at Louisville, and they're playing in the ACC championship, and a new head coach at Georgia Tech, and they're in the top 4. Miami under Mario Cristobal seems to be doing okay. The entire conference is getting better, except for Syracuse. Can Syracuse win in the ACC with everything that we're seeing right now, including other schools that have had a lot of stress and a lot of tough days, be successful, like Louisville, like Georgia Tech, like Duke, like North Carolina? Can Syracuse hang with all of these other schools seemingly making really good hirings for their head coaches?
Well, I think, yes, to answer your question, I think we've shown that we can do that, just not consistently, right? So we've had some great wins against Clemson, had a good win against Virginia Tech a few years back. We've had some staple wins that definitely proves that we can play with the best in the conference, which in return is some of the best in the conference. It's just like we're not doing it week to week. And, it's not like we're going out and getting blown out all the time. A lot of the games are very winnable games. You even look this year, the Clemson game was very winnable. We let Virginia Tech get up early on us, but should have been a winnable game. So the talent level is there, but there's just something missing. And I think we're not that far off from being in the top half of the conference and competing for championships, at least conference championships here in the near future.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, bringing in that coach and having them have familiarity with Syracuse and that connection to Syracuse. I'm going to throw you a curveball here because Coach P was your coach. If you brought someone to Syracuse that has a connection to Syracuse, and they brought back Coach P to be on their staff, thoughts on that? Because I have seen a reality in that, depending on some of the candidates that are out there, that could be a very real thing. Thoughts on someone getting hired to Syracuse and having Coach P come back to work on their staff?
That's interesting. I think, my first thought is, why would Coach P want to do that? But my second thought is, is it somebody that you can bring in and develop the system in place from recruiting in the Northeast that maybe he's been missing over the last 15 years? And he has obviously a lot of connections in that area.
Yeah.
Being from Connecticut, he's obviously a great coach. When he was at the University of Florida recently, one of the coaches there told me that he's forgotten more about football than that coach would ever learn.
Yeah.
And it's true. And he's a very, very well-respected coach in the coaching community from what I know. And obviously, he would be a great addition to that area. And, gosh, what kind of excitement would that be to have him, on a staff there and being a part of it in some way, shape, or form. And, developing those connections and relationships again in the Northeast with all those high school coaches and bringing kids back from that area. That would be a pretty awesome sight.
Yeah, and we've seen Steve Adazio do it at Boston College. he brought back Paul Pasqualoni while he was at BC. So there is a thought that maybe a hiring of Steve Addazio could create such an atmosphere. The fans did appreciate Paul Pasqualoni coming back for the last home game to celebrate Dwight Freeney. So that's something to be said. And seeing him on the field again, I almost ran out there and hugged him and said, please come back. So, I mean, I'm a Coach P kid. I grew up on Coach P through most of my childhood and going into high school and college. Before I let you go, Nate Trout, Syracuse Orange Football alum at the kicker position, held a bunch of records at Syracuse that only recently have been contested by some really awesome kickers. There's a few places I want to go to. One of the things I want to go to is Brady Denneberg. You have been a mentor to Brady. You got me onto Brady. You connected me to Brady. And through the bridge that you created that I appreciate so much, Nate, Brady was on my show doing an exclusive before he got an offer. When he got the offer from Syracuse, he came to me first. When he visited Syracuse, he came to me first. When he committed to Syracuse, he came to me first. And Brady and I have built a great friendship on and off the field that would have never happened without you. So first and foremost, thank you. Secondly, what are your thoughts on Brady and his trajectory at Syracuse?
I mean, if you look at Brady, obviously, first, he's an extremely hardworking kid. He's an awesome kid, and he's got his stuff together for sure. I think Brady's still learning how to be a kicker. He was an unbelievable quarterback in high school. Yeah. And, the kicking thing every single day, like he's doing now, is still fairly new to him. But Brady has so much talent, as talented as any kicker to ever come through Syracuse. And he might, in the end, be the best to ever come through there. He's got a leg that no one's seen at that school, other than maybe Lindo Mare. And, I mean, if you watch his kickoffs, he's, the best kickoff guy in the country right now. I think people underestimate not ever having a return against him. And, the field position it gives the defense. And on top of that, he's missed a couple shorter field goals this year, which I know he would love to have back. But other than that, he's having a great year. His other misses are from 50 yards plus. And I'll tell you, he's going to be one of the most decorated kickers to ever come out of there. He's going to hit probably the longest kick ever in Dome history. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits a 60-plus yarder and continues down that. He's only going to get better and better. And he's an unbelievably competitive kid who not only brings kicking position to a new level there, but also brings the entire team. He's a great leader. He was obviously voted captain. And, he's got a great future ahead of him to continue the trajectory that I think he's going to go on. And I'm grateful to be able to work with him in the past, back home here where he's from. And I'm grateful to have him and blessed to have him at my old school because I think he represents the school and he represents everything that we're looking for in a kid that goes to Syracuse.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't have a better endorsement than that coming from Nate Trout. Nate, we do a thing called the Ingredients to Success on Wake Up Call every Tuesday to round out the show, proudly presented by Avicolli's with incredible Italian food here in our community, 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. What are the ingredients to success for Syracuse moving forward? What, if you had to put a bunch of ingredients in the pot and hand them to the next head coach, what would you say?
Well, I think if you look the last couple of years, it's one getting, a lot of blue-collar guys in there that maybe have a chip on their shoulder, which I know that's, a vague statement, but I think that's what represents Syracuse, and it goes with it's in line with what Syracuse, the city, represents. Hardworking, just people in general. And the other thing is to find consistency at the quarterback position. We've had some great quarterbacks. I feel terrible for the quarterback there now, Schrader. He's been awesome. He just hasn't been consistently healthy. And, getting some people that can get some experience and kind of take it to the next level for us. And, of course, everybody can say we need a better off the line or this or that, but I'm not going to sit here and talk about all that. I mean, the kids, I have no qualm with any of the kids there. They're great kids. Everyone I met is super respectful. I get to go to a couple games now and watch Brady kick. And everyone he's introduced me to, the new kids, has been nothing but respectful. So, again, I don't think the program's that far off. I think we're right there. We just got to kind of get another new edge to us.
Yeah.
And a new excitement and a new motivation around taking it to the next level.
Yeah, and I love hearing that from you, because I know that you are a positive guy, you're a passionate guy, and you're somebody who tells the truth. You speak from the heart, and you definitely are not going to sugarcoat things. There's things where Syracuse needs to get better, but you believe in that, and that consistent belief, that faith, that hope is something that we could all use in and out of football right now. So, Nate, as always, I never know how to say goodbye. I can only say see you later, because we text all the time. We were on the phone yesterday, and I just have the utmost respect for you always, and I hope that you know that.
Yeah, buddy. It's always a pleasure, man. Let's do it again soon.
Yeah, we definitely will. So stay close, Nate. God bless with everything going on. Please give my best to your family. And a shout out to Nate's son, who we may be seeing kicking in college football D1 FBS soon. So shout out to him. Show him some love, and to your family and to your kids in general. A happy Thanksgiving, and always the best for you. I hope you have a safe and happy holiday coming up.
Awesome, brother. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Take care.
All right.
See you. That coming from Nate Trout one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And I cannot thank Nate enough for being a part of the show. As always, always making time for me. And it flies by every time we talk. And, it flies by when you're having fun. It flew by with Dee as well. So, always a great time to have these gentlemen on the show and to have them join me. I love talking to the Syracuse Orange alum. We've had so many players from the men's basketball and football world to just speak on what they see now, what they saw back then. We reminisce. We talk about the tough times. We talk about the great times. And, we've had champions on here. We've had, your top-notch guys who are going up for national awards. And, we've had guys that have gone through seasons where the team won a couple games. And, I've had people write back to me before and say, why would you want to talk to me? I was a walk-on. Why would you want to talk to me? I only had a few downs. And my response is, everybody has a story to tell, and there's no one that should keep you from telling that story. And if no place else is going to give it to you, Wake Up Call is. And if every place else is going to give it to you, Wake Up Call is still going to be unique and be here to tell the stories that need to be told and to share the things that I think should be shared. I love hearing from other people their stories, and I would be wrong to interview a Donovan McNabb but not interview Garrett Schrader, to interview Eric Dungy but not interview Todd Philcox. I think that, everyone has a wonderful story to tell, and I love telling those stories. And I am so grateful that you come to Wake Up Call week in and week out all throughout the year, and you are a part of this, and you join me in hearing these stories. It means the world to me, and I cannot thank you enough. And I know that my guests on the show appreciate it as well. So, I don't focus on the negative. I can't focus on the negative. I'm not perfect. I have before. And there's times where I fall back there, but you can't focus on the negative. You have to focus on your mission and your vision and what you're doing and why you're doing it. It's not about what people think of you. It's about the truth. And to be completely honest, there was a time in the world where people thought it was flat, and anybody that said it was round was considered crazy. There is a time where they said that light came from the sun and light couldn't come from anything else. And now I'm sitting in a room filled with light bulbs and electricity, but that came from someone's crazy idea, right? There was the thought that we could never travel to space. That was a crazy concept, and yet we do that now. So there's a lot of things that were crazy in the past. There was a lot of things that weren't well liked. There's a lot of things that weren't understood, and look at where we are now. So the best thing I can say to you about going out there and doing something different, which is what I feel like I do every single day, is that you're not always going to be liked. You're not always going to be respected. When you're wrong about something, you will probably have people tell you. When you're right about something, it'll probably be dead silent. And people are not going to give you the credit that you deserve, probably ever. And at the same time, people will be quick to scrutinize you, and those same people will be quick to steal your ideas at every turn. So if I could tell you anything I've learned in my life of being a broadcaster, I don't do it for them. I don't do it for anybody except for God. I do it because I love it. I do it because I care. I do it because it matters to me. I do it because I want to make a difference. And in all honesty, it's just part of my blood. I can't really give you an exact definition as to why I've chosen to be the person I've chosen to be, other than the fact that it is simply me. And I love myself, and I love this world that I get to live in. I get to be a big kid every single day. So if you want to know why I do what I do, I love God, I love people, I love chasing my dreams, and I love doing the impossible every day. That's why I'm here. That's why I will always be here for as long as God will have me. And I hope that you can take some peace from that, and you could take some good from that, and hopefully that can help you with whatever's going on in your life to know that I want you to succeed in doing good in this world. I want you to have fun, and I want you to know that the only opinion that matters is the opinion that you hold of yourself. So go out there, give the best you can give, have a great time giving it, and go make history, because why the heck not, right? That's how I look at it. So go have fun out there, folks, and live your dreams. I'm happy to do it every single day because God wakes me up in the morning and gives me the chance to. So we'll take a step aside. Big time shout out to Nate and to Dee. I never want those conversations to end because I just love talking to these guys. So we'll take a step aside, and we'll be back to wrap up the show right after this. Avicolli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicolli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student-athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicolli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicollis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox.
If If I had to describe it, I would like to say welcoming and kind of homey. Like, I feel home when I'm here.
Here's a special message from North Star Nutrition in North Syracuse and Nutrition Wave in Cicero on their very unique shakes and teas.
I always ask them, are you looking for a shake or a tea? Like, are you hungry or do you need a little bit of a pick-me-up? And then from there, I normally gear it towards whichever they prefer. So I say we offer full meal replacement shakes. They're 24 grams of protein, 21 vitamins and minerals. So the vitamins and minerals in that shake make it a full meal. And you'll stay full for about 4 or 5 hours. And if they want a tea, then I'll tell them that there's either 115 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. I would compare it to maybe 2 cups of coffee, and I explain all the benefits that are in the tea. Like, they have B vitamins to sustain your energy all day long. They have a tea for mental clarity and focus. They have a thermogenic tea to help boost your metabolism, burn calories. Aloe is great for nutrient absorption and digestion. And I say there's other flavors in it for the pretty colors and flavors. I always ask them, like, what's your favorite lollipop flavor? And then I'll go from there, and I'm like, well, believe it or not, there's less than a gram of sugar, and it's good for you. The shakes, I say it's like your favorite candy bar or your favorite ice cream, because you've had them. It genuinely does not taste like a regular protein shake. This was the first yes that I've ever given, because I've always been like too shy or too scared to like talk to people or anything, and this just kind of really opened me up. I've stayed here so long because I just love seeing everybody's faces, having them like sit down at the bar and just telling us little tidbits about their life. You really have no idea what's going on in other people's life, and I feel like this job specifically really puts it into perspective and just kind of helps you enjoy other people's presence. As like a young adult and as a person, I have learned so much working here. Like, to me, it's way more than just shakes and teas.
For healthy drinks that taste amazing in a welcoming atmosphere, head to North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse and Nutrition Wave on 6197 State Route 31 in Cicero. Open 7 days a week at each location.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks comes to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. You can find them open 7 days a week by going to that 639 Delmar Place location right off of Teal Ave in Syracuse. They're open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. GG Cards and Breaks with singles, packs, boxes, as well as the only place that I know that has every Major League Baseball team, every NBA team, every NFL team right there for you in their individual boxes. You can go to GG Cards and Breaks. Find if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, Phillies fan, and then let's say in the NBA, you go out and you say, I'm not a Sixers fan, I'm a Knicks fan. You can find all that stuff right at GG Cards and Breaks. And I love that. I love the attention to detail. Everyone on staff, from Josh, Anthony, Alex, Joel, and the entire staff, everyone at GG Cards and Breaks, they care, they answer your questions, they have a passion and an appreciation for cards, and I love that. They also carry Pokemon and the new Disney Lorcana, so there's so many other ways to get involved with GG Cards and Breaks, and they have everything that you need, all of your supplies to protect your cards. They have the magnetic cases as well as the binders and the books, and you can buy showcases and boxes to keep your cards safe, as well as the top loaders and the all of the things that they have for you there, that from, like I said, the top loaders as well as the sleeves to protect your cards. So make sure you get out there today for soccer, hockey, AEW, basketball, football, baseball, so on and so forth. GG Cards and Breaks is bringing in different things every single week, sometimes every single day. You never know what's going to happen if they have a card come in, or they open something, or they got a new box or packs that come into the store. GG Cards and Breaks is not only the place to go to every week, it's the place to go to like every other day. GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, open 7 days a week for those that have their sports card hobby memories and want to make more, and those that have never had one before. The same hobby, new memories, happens every single day at GG Cards and Breaks. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for joining the show today. I want to thank you for joining the show every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We're always hanging out, having fun here, where sports meets that thing called life. And I am honored and privileged to be with you worldwide on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, you will find us on the archive and the archives of Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, as well as Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. So make sure you check us out there by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. A big time thanks to our absolutely incredible partners, Carvel DeWitt, where I have my own sundae entitled DT Dolphin. It is an ode to the Lemoyne Dolphins, and it's a fantastically flavored sundae. It is mint chocolate chip with a ton of chocolate chip pieces in there, more than you get anywhere else. So mint chocolate chip, green for the Dolphins, topped off with whipped cream and cherry, green and gold sprinkles for those Dolphins, and a dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. Who has it like that? Nobody does, except for Carvel DeWitt. 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. Go and check them out today and get the DT Dolphin. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the perfect place for your gift baskets for the holiday season. Get out there for family, friends, coworkers, colleagues, neighbors, for your students, for your teachers. Go to Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Wildcat Sports Pub, where we have our exclusive West Genesee sit-down broadcast. We will be there right after Thanksgiving on Monday, November 27th at 7 p.m. with West Genesee Volleyball. They were with us before. They're with us again after a very successful season. And Carrie Corley, cannot wait to sit next to her and her staff and just all the student athletes. I am so excited to honor them. They're a tremendous group, and Carrie is a tremendous fighter. And I am so thankful to know them all, and I can't wait to see them soon. GG Cards and Breaks, who I just spoke about, they are the place to go for all your sports card collecting needs. I love GG Cards and Breaks. They're so different in all of the most amazing ways. I have been a card collector pretty much my entire life, and GG Cards and Breaks have brought something out of me that goes even beyond what I was doing before in card collecting. And I have to thank Josh and Anthony, Joel, Alex, and the team for all that they do to bring out the best in us and to bring that hobby to us. Same hobby, new memories. Chick-fil-A Cicero is back open again. Go out and see them. Support Jimmer Sikowski and the crew. And definitely show them some love right there on Route 11, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, New York. And, of course, continue to come out to Chick-fil-A Clay, which is also owned by Jimmer Sikowski, a fantastic person and one of my best friends. You can go and see Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Big time shout out to PB&J's Lunchbox. It is Taco Tuesday. You never know what's going to come up on Taco Tuesday, so make sure you make your way out to PB&J's Lunchbox. Go see Pat Sue and the crew on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Fantastic food, and they got something for everybody on the menu. Avicolli's, big time shout out to them, 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York, down the road from Liverpool High School, and our exclusive home for Liverpool Warriors monthly broadcast. I cannot wait to bring you our next one coming up very soon at Avicolli's. When you go there, please get the grandma's pie. Shout out to Joe Shiro, who was talking to me about Avicolli's last night, and I hope you go out today and try some awesome food. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, they are right by each other in East Syracuse. The daycare is exactly what it says it is. It's daycare for your dog. The dog boarding canine campground is where your dog can stay for a longer period of time. Each dog gets their own cabin, especially during the holiday season. You got to call them up now to make sure that you can make an appointment, get everything you need, especially if it's a dog that's never been there, to get all of the information for the dog, the shot records, and all of that. They make sure that dogs have good temperament, because not only do they want to bring your dog in, they want to make sure that your dog is safe with other dogs and those dogs are safe with your dog. So it's not just about volume, it's about taking care of each and every single dog that comes through. That's why they're different, that's why they're special, because of that personal touch. Canine Camp Dog Daycare, call them up at 315-437-7110. Do it now, especially for the holidays. 315-437-7110. For the campground for dog boarding, 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Want to give a shout out to Mother's Cupboard as well, the home of my sandwich, the Cuse McMother. The Cuse McMother at Mother's is there 7 days a week, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York. Mother's Cupboard is fantastic. It is a staple of Syracuse and Central and Upstate New York. There are people that come from all over the place just to go to Mother's Cupboard. You got to make sure you get yourself out there. Thank you to everybody that's gotten the Cuse McMother. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Cut it up and have it with syrup. I created it because I never know if I want sweet or savory. I always want like pancakes or French toast, but then I also want eggs and bacon. This sandwich brings it all together and gives you the perfect mix of awesome flavors at Mother's Cupboard. Go out and get it today, 3709 James Street in Syracuse. Pizza Man, the home of our Baldwinsville Bees monthly shows. I love my time with the Baldwinsville Bees. Love the community out at Pizza Man. Love my Off the Rails with Al, with national champion in college football, Al Romano, who played with Tony Dorsett at Pittsburgh and came from Solvay right here in our community. I love everything we get to do at Pizza Man. Cannot wait to see you all out there very soon. Make sure you go out to Pizza Man and get some sweet heat pizza and some lemon pepper wings in honor of my faves, and go and get all of your faves out there. Great Lakes Honda City, it's where I get all of my vehicles, the former Honda City of Liverpool, now called Great Lakes Honda City. Wonderful place to go to. Awesome, awesome vehicles. And Hondas are not only great, but it's great to get them here in our community and to get them at Great Lakes. And so great cars, great people, Great Lakes is what they say. And I have had a tremendous experience of going out to Great Lakes Honda City for many years. So many thanks to all the help that you've done for me to help me to have the vehicle that I need and all the services that I need for that vehicle. So much appreciation. North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave, our newest partners. North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave both have my drink called the Mic Drop. You can literally walk into North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York, or to Nutrition Wave on 6197 State Route 31 in Cicero. You can walk through the door, walk up to the register and say, I want DT's Mic Drop. And they're like, done. We got it for you. A healthy power tea that you can get. It tastes fantastic, and it has vitamins in it. It has aloe. If you add caffeine, you can add a focus to that, so you can add some things that can help you with focus. And then if you add more caffeine, you can, within that power tea, give yourself a metabolism booster that can help you with digesting your food, especially if you're working out. So it is a fantastic tasting tea for anybody. If you're trying to lose weight and doing some things on the healthy side, Nutrition Wave and North Star Nutrition are perfect for you. If you just want to go and get a drink that tastes really good, Nutrition Wave and North Star Nutrition are perfect for you. Get the DT Mic Drop today. They're open 7 days a week at both locations. And the Mic Drop is pomegranate, blueberry, blackberry, strawberry, and watermelon all together because I love fantastic flavors. It's so good. It looks so cool. And I'm going to go get one today, so I hope you join me in doing that. And thank you to the people that sent me messages this morning telling me that they got some. So much love and appreciation for that. And, of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Dolphins here on Wednesdays during Dolphin time at 9 a.m. Eastern time. On the first and third Wednesday of each month, we're hanging out with AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, every second and fourth Wednesday, bringing you the Dolphin Dive. And that Dolphin Dive, giving you student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni all joining me on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora to tell their stories. We underpromise and overdeliver, so you get plenty more than what we tell you you're going to have throughout each month. And I love the access that Dr. Linda Lemura and Bob Beretta, as well as Craig Lane, provide for me to tell the stories of Lemoyne in an exclusive and unique way. If it's about the Dolphins, it comes through Wake Up Call first. And I'm honored and privileged to share those stories, including the women's basketball team winning their first ever Division I game. Shout out to the women led by Mary Grimes. Shout out to LaToya Baker on that shot, and to the entire team and the entire coaching staff, as well as all of the alumni. Much love to each and every single one of you for everything that you built. And a big shout out for all the good things that are to come. Check out all of our Dolphin content by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcall DT, and of course finding them on wakeupcalldt.com. Under exclusive partners, you'll find the Lemoyne tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com, and as always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When it comes to the Bobcats, it comes through us. Men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, baseball, esports, all of that Bobcat buzz on Wake Up Call every single month, all throughout the year. We've told so many stories. I can't believe we're heading to the end of our second year of being the exclusive partner of Bryan and Stratton Syracuse. It is an honor and a privilege to speak with Nick Dimitrievsky, Alex Grigorita, Clay Gagan-Sherman, Tay Baker, Sean Peak, Nolan Cass, and so on and so forth. I appreciate y'all. Mary Hawkins as well. Thank you for your connection to us. Thank you for your love and your support. We love telling the stories of the Bobcats. I love all the student athletes that I've gotten to sit down with. And the really cool thing about Bryan and Stratton Syracuse is student athletes come from all over the world to play for the Bobcats. So I can sit at a table and speak with people from every nook and cranny of the world, just like span the globe. And we get to have those conversations, which is really incredible and really amazing and sounds impossible, but we do it all the time thanks to Bryan and Stratton and everything that they do, thanks to their coaches and thanks to the student athletes that believe in the programs. I love it, and to what's offered at Bryan and Stratton to entice them to come not only play, but also to study. And shout out to all the teachers, the students, administration, and of course the coaches and student athletes. You can catch all of our Bobcat Buzz content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. You can also go to the Bryan and Stratton page on wakeupcalldt.com. Under exclusive partners, you'll find BSC Syracuse, which is for Bryan and Stratton. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. And as always, go Bobcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call, I have to give a lot of thank yous today. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. So big time shout out to Christy's Corner, to Christy Salters Martin. Joyce, keep fighting. God bless you, and we pray for a healthy and speedy recovery in all ways, shapes, and form by the grace of God in Jesus' name. Amen. So to Christy, thank you for joining the show, the International Boxing Hall of Famer, to boxing photographer and owner of PB&J's Lunchbox, Pat Orr, to Syracuse alumni of the football program, running back Dee Brown, kicker Nate Trout, to Nate joining me to tell the story of what he believes are the ingredients to success for Syracuse football moving forward, proudly presented in the segment Ingredients to Success that comes from Avicolli's on 7839 Oswego Road in Liverpool, New York. Head out to Avicolli's today. All of their food is good, but if I had to pick for something right now, I would say get the veal, get the grandma's pie. Those are two of my top favorites all time at Avicolli's, so go out and get that today. I hope you have a fantastic day. Find us on the social medias. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT, all the time on wakeupcalldt.com. I keep writing articles about Syracuse football. Don't miss any one of those articles. You can subscribe while you're on the site as well, so you can get all the information and get emails when a new article goes up. So check out all my stuff on Syracuse football and beyond on wakeupcalldt.com. I hope you have a great day. Please be safe, be good to each other, and as always, God bless.